Good evening, everyone, and welcome to October's Birds of Essex. Hi, Steve. How you doing?
Good evening, Matt. How you doing? Yeah, good. Thank you very much. And how's it all going with you?
Not too bad, not too bad. I feel quite kind of tired and rushed. I thought, to be fair, I think we are prepared.
We're back, Matt. Both of us
We're back on
together.
both. Oh, thank goodness for that.
Way!
Oh, well, hooray. Hello and welcome to. Can we get away with that, do you think?
Do you know what? I don't think anyone's watching, to be honest, mate. So, welcome to October's Birds of Essex.
Well, at least it shows that we're live, doesn't it? I've got no idea what happened there. I was talking and my Zoom just died. So I didn't even press anything. I'll do a problem, but we are back, I think. I hope.
I've got a pint of gin here. It's crikey.
Okay, so how many people are watching?
26, 27
Oh,
people.
no, should we just carry on? What do you reckon?
Let's carry on. Come on, let's
carry on. Right.
As true professionals like we are.
Okay, yes. So let's just carry on. Right, so bear with me just 1 second. I've just got to mute my camera very quickly. Hold on.
Thanks to everyone for your patience tonight because, this thing's live. Things do go belly up from time to time. And it's all Matt's fault, basically, because he tempted fate earlier today, saying that he was very well prepared and we were professionals. And that's what happens. Oh, there you go. Oh, we've got quite a lot of people watching tonight. So, yeah, thank you for everyone for your comments so far. So,
okay, we're back.
We're back.
You know what? I've jinxed it. It's my fault because I put out a tweet earlier on saying that we were fully prepared and ready to go. My computer must have heard me or read the tweet and it dumped me out of Zoom just to have a laugh. So, yes. And hopefully I muted my microphone before the bad language started coming out. So if anyone heard anything, apologies, but I don't think you did.
At least they didn't have to put up with me for an hour and a half. It'd been better off cancelling the whole thing.
Okay, so that was a really good show. Thanks very much for everyone watching, and we'll see you next month. Bye. No, right, what are we doing tonight?
Oh, crikey, what we do? Do you know what? I've lost the complete plot now, Matt. It's
okay.
Here we go. So, yeah. So
I think the first thing we were going to discuss was how we recovered from Big County Birdwatch 2022 last month. And obviously not.
No, no, not at all. Obviously, our exhaustion and just, sheer unprofessionalism just carried on.
I don't even want to, I can see the chat in the corner. I'm not even going to read it, to be fair. I'm not looking.
No, do you know what? I think it's considering, I think it's rather positive. So that's really good.
Oh, that's okay then. Well, technical glitches happen. So at least we can edit it out for the final edit. So that'll be good. So, yeah, I mean, Big County Birdwatch was really good. And I think we've recovered, haven't we? The last month's been pretty busy. You've been out and about, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been really busy. But it was a good weekend, although it seems ages ago. But it actually... It wasn't that long ago, was it? It was only like not even a month ago. No, it was 2 months. No, it was 6. Oh God, what month are we?
It was just over a month ago, I think we did it, wasn't it? So third weekend in September, and we had a great turnout. And we're going to very briefly revisit the final results because there's been an exciting change. So that's something to look forward to a little bit later on. Now, as always, and I've got no idea if this is going to dump me out again or not, but you can contact us if you wish to. So here's how. You can obviously log into YouTube with your Gmail accounts and join in the live chat, which I think lots of people are doing at the moment. Thank you. You can send us an email to ebwstalks@gmail.com, or people can contact us on Facebook, can't they, Steve?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so you can contact us at EBWS Info, which is the Essex Birdwatching Society Facebook page. So, yeah, do that and you can send us a message. And we'll be monitoring those all evening.
Yeah, I'm monitoring the email, so that probably won't work, but at least Steve's doing the Facebook. So if anyone sends a Facebook message, Steve will pick it up because he's far more professional than I am. So there we go. What's coming up? What are we going to be talking about?
I've got to look at my spreadsheet. So, yeah, well, we've been promising, for those who watch the show regularly, we've been promising the fact that we'll be doing a bird watching site guide to Holland Haven. And as Matt said earlier, we've been quite busy recently, so we haven't had time to give it the full effort that it deserves. So it'll be coming next year. So watch this space.
Yep.
For those who wanted it, we haven't forgotten. So
Yeah, we'll do that probably January, February, maybe. So yeah, look out for it early in the new year. Tonight's show, we're going to be talking about the recent field trips that we've been doing, and I say trips plural. So we had a last minute pop-up thing, didn't we, which we'll talk about in a bit, which was good. We're going to look at the ongoing photo competition, which ends in just a couple of weeks' time. And we're doing the county sightings as well, and lots of photographs. Plus, we've got an ID section in the second half, haven't we?
Yeah, so you've got to hang on now to the second half for those who are still watching. What can go wrong? Yeah, we're doing a winter wader identification little section. So well worth a watch if you struggle with IDing your waders or just want a few extra tips. So yeah, so watch that in the second half.
Yeah.
Yes, we've got to start off with a little bit of sad news. One of the Essex Graham Smith, one of the a lot of you probably would have met Graham Smith if you went down to Bradwell Bird Observatory, but Graham sadly passed away on the 30th of September. And Graham was a great guy, put in so much time and effort to the Birdwatching Society for many years. And he was he joined the recording committee in 1973 and then became assistant editor of the Bird Report in 78. And then his first sort of go at doing the Bird Report was 79. And then he came back in the last 10 years or so. He's been editor again, and he's vice president, honorary vice president of the society. So yeah, he'll be sadly missed. So yeah, and there'll be more details in the next issue of Essex Birding. Hopefully there'll be an obituary and a bit more details. But yeah, very sad news.
Yeah, very sad. I only met Graham a couple of times, but he seemed like a really nice chap and a really good birder as well. So yeah, definitely missed. Right, so something a little bit happier. Photo competition. So we're currently running our autumn photography competition, but you may remember that Adrian Galley won the summer competition with his fabulous photo of little owls, a trio of little owls, and hopefully you can see that on the screen, Steve.
You're still there? Good.
Excellent, good.
Every time you do that now, I've got my fingers crossed.
I know, I'm on tenterhooks here, thinking I'm going to get dumped any second. So I presented Adrian with his frame photograph a couple of weeks ago, and he was really pleased to see it and have it, and I had a nice chat with him. He's a really nice fellow, actually, and he was telling me he's a birder. He started out birding, and he's still absolutely 100% a birder, but he does take his camera out pretty much all the time, and he loves to get shots. And he was telling me a few of the ways he does it and a few hints and tips. And yeah, he showed me some of the other photographs, and he's got some really nice stuff that he's done. So congratulations, Adrian. I did tell him that we're going to have to try and find a way to beat him in the competition, because I think that's the third time he's won it. So for everyone that's out there with their cameras, we've got to try and work out a way of beating Adrian and getting some really good photographs. So how can you enter? Let's have a look.
You've got your screen there. So yeah,
I'm just going to get it up now. Hold on 1 second. I think that looks like it's closed as well. Lots of things have closed on my computer, which is slightly worrying. So I do hope that that tonight is normal. We had it all prepared and then it's all kind of gone, but here we go. Right, share screen. So autumn bird photography competition open for entries. This is on the EBWS website. This is one of the news items that ticker tapes along the top of the screen, and all the details are on here. Basically, you've got to take a photograph of anything bird related in Essex between the 1st of September and the 12th of November. So you've got a couple of weeks left. You can send in a maximum of 3 photos. All the information is there as to where to send the photos to. And then I think there's 5 of us now, Steve, isn't there, that we choose our favourites?
do. Yep. Sorry, I'm just replying to someone who's just messaged.
That's fine.
Yes. So there's 5 of us that whittle down all your entries into our top 20 now, isn't it?
Top 16.
16. Sorry, 16.
Yeah, we have like 4 quarterfinals, semi-final, final. It goes on to Twitter and Facebook. And there's links on the website as well. So keep an eye on it. But please, we've had a few entries so far, and there's obviously time left. Please send your entries in, because the winner will receive a framed copy of their photograph and a certificate. And it's just a bit of fun, but it's really, really good, and we enjoy doing it. So it's all on there. Please send in your entries.
All right, I'm just replying. So yeah, someone's just Ivor
I was gonna say
Kerslake's
feedback.
Ivor Kerslake's just emailed in and said he's watching. He's not sure how to enter the chat, so you need to have a Gmail account, and then you can log into YouTube, and then you'll be able to chat and comment and all that sort of stuff.
Yep. I think the login, when you're on YouTube, I think the login button is normally top right of the screen somewhere. So log in. If you've got a Gmail account, do that. And then, as Steve said, you can join in the chat. We've got some congratulations in order, haven't we?
We have. I'm just going back to YouTube. Got to try to juggle everything around here tonight. We've got phones and...
This is the problem. The more we try and fit in, the more stuff's going on, and the more there is to try and keep our eyes on. But it's all good fun. So yeah, big congratulations, and congratulations go to Stephen Entwistle.
Yeah,
so I don't know if you can see that.
Yep. So
this is eBird, isn't it, Steve?
This is eBird, yeah. So I'm not sure if anyone's aware of eBird, but it's a great great portal for importing your sightings. Obviously, we encourage you to put your sightings on the Essex Birdwatching Society website, but there are other ways as well, Bird Track and eBird, and then the Society do get all the records from these two sort of portals. But Matt and I are on eBird, and so is Stephen Entwistle, and we've had the last couple of years, we've had a bit of a friendly competition to see who can see the most in Essex in a year. But this year, Steve's just broken the 200 barrier, which is no mean feat, to be honest. It's a good bit of effort from him there.
Definitely, and I think obviously Steve's based on Mersey, and he doesn't really travel that far. He does Mersey, and he does within around about a 10 to 15 mile radius as the crow flies. So he will go around to Holland and the Naze, but I don't think he goes down south that much really, and elsewhere in the county, not really. So
although he did, I remember he did see the old stone curlew. He was at Tilbury.
I think he did go for those, yeah.
He had to dust his passport off to leave Mersey for those.
But no, congratulations, Stephen. It's a really, really good effort, mate. Well done. And hopefully I might get to 200 this year as well in Essex, but I've got a bit to go. I think I'm actually on 190 at the moment. This hasn't updated. So I think I'm level with you, Steve.
You are, yeah. And I think I'm out of the running now because I'm busy for the rest of the year. So I won't probably increase that number by much, I don't think. So, but no.
It's also, I find it's quite a good way to kind of not that I need much incentive anyway, but it incentivizes you to get out birding, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
It can do, yeah.
And I say all your records come to us eventually. So,
yep.
And then of course that's what we get to produce the Essex Bird Report. So without everyone's sightings, we've got nothing to put in there. So, we appreciate however you do it, we appreciate it.
Absolutely, and I think that what I was inferring was that listing in general, just keeping a tally, not obsessive, but it's just a nice way. You think, okay, what haven't I seen yet this year? Let's go and try and find some red poles, or let's go and see if goosander's turned up at the local reservoir or something. So yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So so we've got a bit of we've got quite a lot of input from different viewers tonight. So. Okay. So we've got a nice Jan Lewis sent Matt a lovely spreadsheet.
He did.
Because we've spoken about colour ringing on this show again numerous times. Always when you're out birding, looking out for godwits and all that sort of stuff, godwits, gulls. So Matt, Jan sent in this fabulous spreadsheet that Matt's now just sharing. Incredibly detailed. So he's got different species there. And he's taken photographs of all the birds that he's seen and sort of dropped them into an Excel spreadsheet. And it's got all the details there. It was absolutely amazing.
I think it's just a really good sort of permanent record of the rings you've reported, where you saw them. As Steve said, a snapshot of the bird as well, who he's contacted. And I'm assuming that he'll add kind of some of the feedback and bits and pieces. He's got a summary there. It'll have all links to the feedbacks as well, which he'll probably pop into there as and when he receives them. So absolutely brilliant. I was really impressed with that. Makes my effort look a little bit forlorn. So we were wondering how other people keep records of ringing reports, weren't we?
Absolutely. I mean, that's a really good way because, I mean, like you, Matt, we've sent records off before but I don't. To be fair, I don't really keep a record of them anywhere.
Mm.
I know I should do, obviously, because I mean, and Jan's done a cracking job with this, so I might try and do something very similar, actually.
Yeah,
But
he'll
yeah,
probably charge you for nicking his idea. You know that.
oh yeah, I know what he's like.
But no, I mean, like you, I normally have to kind of trawl my emails and search for ringing, and then hope you find the right email with the right results on it. So that's a really, really good idea. I like that, and I might nick it as well.
Yeah, but if anyone does something similar, let us know. Again, we just want to know how you do stuff and what you've been up to, and because as we say always say on the show, it's not always about us. So it's we love everyone's feedback.
Definitely. And talking of feedback, have we had any feedback in the chat, Steve? Because we haven't done that yet, have we?
Well, we've had lots of feedback in the chat, but I probably can't read half of it. Let's have a look through all the. I've just got to sort of pick out all the. Yeah, there was obviously some great comments from everyone that was watching us.
Mel Shepherd Wells, I'm here, but neither of you are organised. Yeah, someone forgot to put money in the meter. Yeah, very good, excellent.
Les Malloy's asking who's off for an early visit to the Suffolk coast tomorrow. So, if anyone's aware, up near Aldborough, there's a Alpine Centaur. Mm-hmm. So it's like the version very similar to a Dunnock, but rare visitor to the UK. And there's been one down at the south end of Aldborough the last 2 days.
Yes, so, I think so. Yeah.
I think there were up to 200 people there this morning.
Wow.
So it's a popular bird at the moment.
Mm.
I've never seen one in the UK, funny enough. So,
are you tempted, or are you busy?
Yeah, I've got a few commitments for work over the weekend. So, but it might hang around till next week. Well, I might be able to sneak up a couple of hours.
Yeah, it'd be nice. It certainly looks like a cracking bird from the pictures. Looks really good.
Yeah, absolutely. And Andy Goody's, good evening, Andy. Yeah, he said it's really sad to hear about Graham Smith. And of course, which I forgot to mention. Graham wrote write-ups about Bradwell every year in the Essex Bird Report, and it goes back 20, 30 years or so. So, and they were a great read. So I agree with you, Andy. Yeah, sadly missed guy.
Yeah, definitely.
And what else have we got? Oh, Tim Hayward. There was a great white egret at Abbotston today with a metal ring on.
Oh, okay.
And I also believe yesterday, Tim, there was we hope it was the Lithuanian bird was in Hyde Bay. So whether it was the same bird or not, maybe I don't know if you saw both legs, but yeah, there's certainly a colouring bird there. So hopefully it's the bird from.
That's been around a couple of years, hasn't it?
Yeah, it turned up. Yeah, it turned up 2 years ago. I think it was about October time, and it came back about the same time of year this year. So, you never know. If anyone's out birding at Abbotston this weekend, have a look out for it. And if you do see it and read the ring number, you can report, where you've seen it. And we've got a feature on our YouTube page about how to report colouring birds. So check out what our past videos, and then you'll be able to send your details in.
Yeah, and before we carry on, we didn't really get a chance because it all went wrong at the beginning, but just a big hello to everyone. Obviously, hello to Steve Hallam is watching, Doris, Les Malloy, Ron, Paul Everett. Hi, Paul. So everyone that's watching, thanks very much for tuning in, and hello to everyone. And right, what are we doing next?
Tim's just come back to say it was only on one leg, so he's quite likely the colouring bird. So thanks, Tim, for that, and good evening, and thanks for watching.
Yes, yeah, thank you. Right, we're going to quickly talk about the BCBW results, aren't we?
We are, yep.
So let me just see if I've definitely got them up. Here we go.
So again,
reason being, they changed ever so slightly. So at the end of BCBW, we left the registration portal open for a few days, and so people could put their results in after the weekend if they hadn't had time to do so already. And there wasn't a change with the person at the top in terms of the individual records. That was still Ben Rumsby. But there was a change on the top location, and Abbotston have been pipped. So Abbotston was on 109, but East Tilbury managed to make it to 110. So a huge congratulations to everyone down at East Tilbury. There were some great birds down there. We spent a little bit down there, didn't we, looking at the stone curlew and
we headed down, and I mean it's a great patch. You know, again, it's got like nice mixture of habitats there. So, you know, you've got woodland, estuary. Yeah, you've got a bit of everything really down there. So, yeah, well done to the birders that put all that effort in. 110 species is pretty good going.
Definitely, absolutely, definitely. And bear in mind that I think there was only, well, it says there's 4 people recording down there. So between the 4 of them over that weekend, 110. Yeah, brilliant. And we're doing the BCBW, but it's in the spring next year, isn't it? So look out on the website for more details of that. I can't remember when it is. Do you remember?
It is the 5th to the 8th of May.
There you go.
So it's our first ever spring Big County Birdwatch. So it'd be interesting to see number of species, and obviously it's prime warbler and migrant time. So, you know, and obviously dawn chorus and all that sort of time. So yeah, so keep an eye on the website, and more details will appear in due course. Hopefully we'll get some nice guided walks arranged, and Matt and we've got another 7 months to sleep and recover before starting again.
I'm a little bit concerned though, because if we're doing a guided dawn chorus and McDonald's open that time in the morning,
we'll have to choose a 24-hour one, Matt.
Okay.
I will. I've got a spreadsheet, just like Jan's got. Jan's got his ringing spreadsheet. I've got McDonald's breakfast spreadsheet.
Have you got pictures of the burgers and the coffee and the ratings and
the number of calories in each one? And yeah.
I don't want to know. La 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 la. Right. So field trips. So we've had a couple of field trips this month, haven't we? So the first one was down near Shoebury Ness. At Gunners Park. Yeah, and Gunners Park is a great, really, really good site. So what happened down at Gunners, Steve? It was pretty good, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I'd only just got back from the Isles of Scilly the day before, and yeah, we had 42 people, I think it was, turned up, which was phenomenal to phenomenal amount.
Phenomenal.
It's all going so well tonight. Yeah, there were 42 of us, and we had a really good morning's birding. The weather was good. We had some nice, good winds, so there was lots of visible migration going on. Here's the group. We're all watching Goldcrests here. Yep. So yeah, we had lots of new faces, which was really, really good. So yeah, we had a wander around, didn't we? And
we did. Yeah.
The tide was out, so there were lots of waders, and we had a wander around towards sort of east, sort of the end of Shoebury Ness, where we had a brief cup of tea.
We did. Yeah, that was nice. Yeah.
And the plan was to get back for about lunchtime, but as always.
Well, something happened, didn't it? So on the way back through, we'd seen a few bits and pieces on the way out, and it was really nice. And you know, a few sparrowhawks and all the usual small birds, and you know, not much on the water. Little grebes were amazing. You didn't say that already, did you? 35 little grebes, I think we had, didn't we? 36 really little grebes.
Yep.
All on the lake there, and they're all sort of bobbing around and diving and interacting, and that was really fun to watch, and so on. But then after lunch, we wandered back, and I don't know if Steve's going to be able to contain himself here, because we had a couple of these. Ready?
Oh,
careful!
Lovely. I'm rubbing my thighs now, mate.
So a couple of Mediterranean gulls. The first one, I must admit, it kind of flew in. I was lagging behind chatting, and it flew in, and I saw it, but the rest of the group were further on. So when I caught Steve up, I said, "Oh, we've just had a med gull," and he was like, "Why didn't you call it?" Well, I was too far back. But luckily, I think we had another couple, and one of them landed on the little lake there and managed to get some shots of it. But shortly after I'd seen that first Mediterranean gull, you found something, didn't you?
Yes. So yeah, do you know what? It's just bird watching's like 90% luck and a bit. I'd like to say a bit of skill, but yeah, I just happened to put my bins up on a bramble bush, and in my bins was a Dartford warbler. It was just pure. I mean, I don't know what the chances are, but yeah, and it wasn't, although it wasn't particularly close, and it was associating with a couple of stone chats, but we managed to get everyone on it, and some of the group had scope views as it flitted around. It was quite mobile. It was a good, really good local record. So I was quite pleased to find that. And Matt managed to get a shot of it here, which was really good.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a good Essex bird in general, isn't it? You don't often see them in Essex. And it's really interesting because I think the last one I saw, I picked one up at Colne Point last year, I think it was. And that was with stone chat as well. And similar thing, I was watching the stone chat, and then this long-tailed dark bird sat up on a bush, and even through binoculars, you can see it's different, and it's a dark-bird warbler. And they do follow the stone chat around. And
Interesting, that, isn't it?
I don't know why. I wonder if maybe they know that stone chat might, I don't know, disturb insects and things. I'm not sure, really. I don't know.
I don't know if anyone's done any research in it, but often if you find a pair of stone chats, always look out for Dartford warbler, especially like anywhere in Essex at the moment. I mean, there's been a few reports of Dartford warblers in the last month or so, which we'll cover a bit later. But yeah, so if anyone knows why they follow them around, then please let us know.
Yeah, let us know. But then we did, and unfortunately, you weren't able to come to this because you've been so busy working, haven't you? But
I have, yeah.
Paul Brayshaw over in Frinton and I had a brief discussion, and Steve as well, about doing a sea watch, because I think at the end of last month, Jan Lewis mentioned how we ever thought of doing one, and we had, and it was already on the discussion possibly for next year, wasn't it?
It was, but the winds were looking good, weren't they? The last weekend, and so Matt and Paul very quickly arranged a pop-up event, which
exactly, and we had, I think there was 20 people turned up, so a little shot of people lined up there. Now, to be fair, considering the weather on the morning, it was forecast for rain, and it did rain, although luckily later in the morning, but we had a really good number of people turned up. Obviously, it's a completely different type of bird watching. For anyone that hasn't done it before, you're very much stationary, looking through your scope, scanning the sea to see what you can find. And it was a bit quiet to start with, but then as the morning progressed, we had Brent geese, we had kittiwake, we had red-throated divers. Paul picked up a Pomeranian skua, very, very distant, but you could tell. And he was explaining and to everyone why it was a pom and nothing else, and that was really interesting. And I picked up an Arctic skua going the other way, similar distance. And it was just really nice to do something different. And again, thank you to everyone that came along. And we might do another one. We're not going to say anything just yet, are we? But we might do another one.
We might try and squeeze something in November, but it'll be a midweek pop-up event, which I know obviously is a bit difficult for those who work. But so watch. So yeah, if you're not a subscriber to the email, the MailChimp list, go on the Essex Birdwatching Society website. There's a subscribe button right at the bottom. Fill in your details, fill in your emails, and then if we do any of these events, and again, for those who are new watching, you'll get emails about our YouTube videos, our field trips, and any Birdwatching Society news that's relevant.
Yep, that's good. Definitely a good way to stay in touch. And talking about news that's relevant, field trips. So we've got field trips coming up next month to Titchwell on the 20th of November. And the coach for that one is full. And we've also got a field trip in May to Knepp, and the coach for that one is also full. So we thought this might be a good opportunity just to remind people that if you do want to come along on any of the EBS coach trips, to really get your booking in as soon as you can. So if I just share the screen very quickly here, again on the website under the events tab, you can go to field trips. The details at the top tell you where the coaches leave from, how to book. You contact Jerry Johnson on his phone number there, and there's a listing of all of the different trips that we've got coming up. And as I said, they are filling quickly. So Knepp's full, Titchwell is full as well. And the others are, I think there's about 10 or 12 spaces left on each one.
There's limited spaces on those. And for those if you're on the list and you can't make it, please let Jerry know as soon as possible, because certainly for Titchwell and Knepp, we do have a waiting list.
Yep.
So, if you can't make it, please let us know. And Jerry should be able to fill those spaces.
Absolutely.
But they're a great day out if you've never been on a coach trip. They're a cracking day. It's good fun. There's a nice sort of banter between everyone that comes. We obviously see the best birds, and just a good day out. And they're really good value as well.
Oh, definitely. And it's a good way of learning too. I mean, there's some of the trips are self-drive. So you've got Fisher's Green, I think, is self-drive. Walthamstow Wetlands in March is self-drive as well. So those, obviously, there's no limit to numbers. You can just come along. But yeah, it's great crack. And it's a really, really good way of learning. When I first joined the society, I think that was the thing that I enjoyed the most, was coming along on the field trips and watching and learning and listening. And you do pick up a lot by doing them. So anyone out there that hasn't done one yet, or anyone out there that's kind of starting off in birding or wants to get a bit of experience, or even just wants to see some new sights, come along. Please come along.
Yeah, they're a good day out. They're a good day out. And Matt will be there, and I'll be there, and we'll help point out the birds, and obviously Jerry as well. So yeah, we look forward to seeing you on the next one.
Definitely. Have you got any feedback, Steve? On Facebook?
No, nothing. No, nothing.
I've got an email. With some photographs there, so we'll share them in a minute. That can be something to look forward to. Okay, so Paul Roper, down in the south of the county, he's heavily involved in the Brent Goose ringing project, and this is a project that the society supports, and we've given money to them in the past to help them with the work that they do. And Paul's kindly sent us in an update. So there's a Brent goose that's been ringed, and they thought that the satellite, it's actually satellite tag, sorry, and they thought the satellite tag had broken because they lost the information from the bird, but then it's come back again. So there's obviously been an issue with the sat nav, but it's now available to view. So he sent in a message. I'm going to put some maps up if I can on the screen. I don't know if I'm going to be doing them side by side. You'll have to tell me if this works. It probably won't. Hold on, let's do this one first. So I think, there we go. Can you see one with just a single line on it?
I can. Yep, that's perfect.
With my mouse going up and down it, yeah?
Yep, that's the one. Yep. Brilliant.
Okay, so I think this is the one where the bird disappeared in June. So he said it disappeared in June, thought the tracker had broken, it popped back into life in September, started to download data. And this is the data that they downloaded from the tag. And what I want to show you, because I'm not going to be able to do side by side, if you look at the route it's taken and the stops it's making, the locations, and just the general direction here, and some of the dates, particularly this one in the middle, which was the 24th of May, 2020.
Yep.
I won't have time to click on them all, but it is quite fascinating when you do so, because if I share the other screen, hold on one second, let me just stop the share. If I close
interesting. It's interesting because they stop out. There's quite a lot of islands out between Sweden and Finland, and they're using those as a stop-off place, and then to Estonia, and then across to Russia, and then right up into the sort of Siberian tundra.
Can you see the second map on here, Steve?
Yeah, that's amazing.
That's the full map. That's the bird, because basically what's happened is now the bird is now, the satellite tracker is now working, as you can see. So you've got an outward journey and a return journey here. And Paul's written, in comparing the maps, we found on the outward journey to Russia, this bird has used the same fields in Germany for staging, and the site fidelity is quite remarkable. As you also know, the timings of things are really interesting, and you can almost set your watch by a few of the habits that these birds exhibit. What did strike us was when they decided to move, they just go. The return journey from Germany, from the German staging ground, was done 12 hours straight from leaving to arriving with no stops. So they literally left Germany, 12 hours, no stopping at all. And what he said is what they'd really like to know is what the trigger for moving is, whether it's weather, wind conditions, temperature, body conditions, who knows? So it's really fascinating to see the route that they take. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. It's all behind my camera at the moment, but if I scroll down, this one just here, it was the 24th of May before, I think.
Yeah.
And it's 2 years later, the bird's in the same place on the 22nd of May.
Yeah, that's just amazing.
Exactly the same place. And there's a few of the others that tally up in the same manner. If you go through the two maps side by side, they're in the same locations, literally within 2 or 3 days, year on year on year. So not only do they remember when to go, but they're there at almost exactly the same time. So it is fascinating to know what triggers that.
It's amazing. This is where these satellite tags give so much more data than just a normal, color ring or metal ring. They're phenomenal. I mean, it's great that it's come back online again, hasn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
I know a lot of them are solar powered, aren't they? They've obviously got sort of solar panels in. So, if they get a bit of muck or something on them, it might,
Yeah, that could be the thing. And I think they changed the manufacturer as well. They found something that's more reliable as well. So hopefully, as time progresses, more and more of this data will be available. And Paul's kindly going to write an article for the next bird report. So when that comes out in January, any of the members out there, you'll get a copy of the report. Please take a few minutes and read that article because it's going to be fascinating.
Yeah, Paul and his team do a great job. A lot of these birds, most of the birds, or in fact, all the birds are ringed at Essex Wildlife Trust's Blue House Farm Reserve. So yeah, it's a great project, and it's one that the Birdwatching Society are very pleased to have helped support over the years. So yeah,
Definitely.
Thanks, Paul.
We're going to talk sort of about waxwings, aren't we? Kind of. Well, it's a new feature actually. We introduced a new feature about the website, haven't we? The internet.
Yeah, so obviously now everything, well, not everything is like technically based now, so lots of websites. So yeah, we thought each month now would feature, or until we run out of websites to show, but we'll feature a birding website of the month. And Matt's chosen the first one, which is called Euro Bird Portal.
Euro Bird Portal, yeah. Be careful how you type that into the internet.
It's a fantastic website. So you can choose a number of species and then look back through the year to see their movements. And waxwings are very much in the feature at the moment because it appears that there's a very poor food crop in Scandinavia. So the number of waxwings coming sort of southwest even, has increased phenomenally in the last few weeks. And there's been quite a few sightings already in the UK. So yeah, Matt's got this lovely little animation here to show you.
Yeah, so what you can do, you can have a split screen on the website. You choose which species you want on which side, and you can set it to different time periods. So on the left-hand side, we've got the year before last, and it's the last 52 weeks. And then on the right-hand side, we've got the last 52 weeks. So you can see this is an animation showing you the movement of the birds. Obviously, during the summer months, there's not much around. And then as it gets more towards autumn and winter, you can see there's bigger numbers. But if I pause it just at the end, which is where we started, hold on, here we go. So just going through again, August, September, and we've got 22nd to the 28th of October. So that's this week, I think, isn't it?
This week, yeah, absolutely. Yep.
And you can see on the left-hand side, 2 years ago, there were still waxwing around, but on the right-hand side, you can see there's greater quantities. The movement is further south. There's a few more birds in the UK, and I don't think there was hardly any at all a couple of years ago. And there's more birds sort of coming into the northern parts of Europe as well. So much more birds around, and it's a really good website that's worth having a look at because you can see movements of lots of different species, as I said before. It'll give you an idea of what's likely to turn up, hopefully, if we get some nice easterly winds. Fingers crossed.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, waxwings breed in the sort of Finnish and Norwegian sort of forests and Russia.
Yep.
They move when, well, they will quite happy stay where they are. But if there's a food shortage or they eat all the food, then they move sort of out of the areas in search of food. And the last few years have been pretty ropey for waxwings, but hopefully, fingers crossed, this winter will be a good one. It's incredibly mild. Obviously, it's incredibly mild here at the moment, but I'm sure in the next sort of month or so, we'll start seeing a few records. So worth watching your local starling flocks.
Definitely.
Especially if you're down, if you're birding along the coast and you're watching starlings and stuff coming off the sea, or thrushes, keep an eye out for waxwing. And they've got this lovely trilling sort of call, which they utter. So yeah, really good.
Yep. So have a look at Euro Bird Portal. And if anyone out there has got any suggestions, you can choose one next month, Steve. Okay. If you get time.
I will choose one. Yep.
Excellent.
Actually, there's loads of good birding websites with, especially for the migration side of birding, and obviously this time of year it is about migration. Winter migrants coming in, still got summer migrants hanging around. So yeah, I'll think of one for next month. But if anyone's got any suggestions of what they really like, stick it in the chat or drop us an email. We'd love to hear from you.
Brilliant. Right, let's see if we've got any feedback on the chat. So Doris the Post can bring cake. Oh, that sounds nice. I'm not sure what that relates to, but anything that says
that's
cake.
Sandra. So Doris is Sandra Bell is Doris.
Oh, okay. Hi, Sandra.
And she makes the most amazing cake. I have to say, I haven't had any of Sandra's cake for a long time, and I'm missing it. So yeah. So yeah,
Excellent.
next year's Big County Birdwatch. Sandra's bringing cake, everyone. So thank you.
I'm definitely that will get me out of bed at 4 o'clock in the morning for the dawn chorus. Definitely, 100%.
Cup of coffee and a bit of cake. That sounds good.
Oh yeah. Les Malloy, Dartford warblers easily overlooked because of the assumption that they're all stone chats. So yeah, worth checking and worth looking. And he's said some nice words about the field trips as well. So he came on the first field trip that he's attended this year, and he said it was a great day. Recommend it to everyone. So that's really good.
Yeah, and we've had lots of new faces on the field trips, which is really good. I mean, we love seeing all the old regulars, but obviously we love seeing the new people as well.
Tim's asked for the wax wings. Was that numbers or sightings? So you can actually configure that website. You can have it to show sightings or numbers, and I've got it set to like a trail. So it leaves an image of what was around the previous week and the week before that. That's what that glowing effect is. So it gives you an idea of the movement, but you can turn that off and you can just have single dots showing where the sightings were as well. So it's quite configurable, and it's definitely worth having a play with. And like I said, there's a good number of species on there, and it's just really interesting, and it's based on observations.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, and Les said great feature regarding the websites. Oh, there you go. We've got some good idea. That was a good idea of yours, Matt. I will say that's yeah.
That's my good idea for the year. Done. That's me over. It's all over to everyone else now. Right. So where have we been and what we seen? Where have you been, Steve?
Well, I've not spent a lot of time in Essex, to be honest with you. So yeah, I'm still busy with tours.
Yep.
So I've just run my 16th and 17th tour of the year.
Oh.
So yeah, which is crazy. We're still on COVID catch up. So really busy. So yeah, but every October we head down to the Isles of Scilly. So we always have a week on the Isles of Scilly with a group, and this year was no different. So I need to just share screens. So yeah, we had a week on the Isles of Scilly. So yeah, we had some. Oops, wrong button. So we started off. We had some really good birds. So this is an American buff-bellied pipit. So not the most exciting looking bird in the world, but yeah, nice unstreaked mantle and lovely big sort of white eye stripe. But yeah, this was on St Mary's. So this is a North American bird, and that stayed around. We had some really nice views of that. Very confiding barred warbler.
Nice.
Which was showing very well. And we had Swainson's thrush, so very superficially like a song thrush, but much smaller and less sort of less spotted on the sort of underbreast. And just a nice.
What sort of size are they? Are they robin-y or bigger?
Yeah,
bigger?
between robin. Yeah, bigger than a robin, smaller than a song thrush. So, yeah, I mean, it pretty much. But this is a North American visitor. It's quite a rare visitor. I saw one here a couple of years ago, but these was by far the best views that we'd had on the Isles of Scilly.
Beautiful bird, lovely picture as well.
Yeah, I was very lucky that it just flew up in front of me and managed to get a few shots, which was very nice. But sorry, Richard, bird of the trip and probably bird of the year actually in the UK was this Blackburnian warbler. So this is Britain's 4th Blackburnian warbler. So it's a North American warbler. It should be wintering in Central America, South America, but somehow it's got caught up on the jet stream and blown across to. This was on the island of Briar. So yeah, we had really good views of that as it was just picking insects off the trees. And there's another little shot of it.
What a cracking bird!
And it's still there. It's been there for like 2 weeks now. Could be 2 weeks. Yeah, I think it's 2 weeks today, I think.
I was discussing with someone the other day. I can't remember if it was you or not, but does anyone know what happened? Because obviously this has come across on all the westerlies that we've had, I guess, as you
absolutely. Yeah.
So this bird's come in. It's obviously found somewhere to land and to feed. what's it likely to do next? I think it was Paul Brayshaw actually I was talking about, and he was saying, maybe it will possibly continue moving, maybe move south somewhere, stay in the warm, possibly.
Yeah, I think it will move south. I think it will. It doesn't quite know where it is, and its instinct is to migrate south. So I think it will go south. And I mean, certainly with birds like blue-winged teals, ring-necked ducks, they get blown across in the autumn, and then they disappear. And then in the spring, we get quite a few records as they come back north, because they obviously think they're in South America or wherever, and their instinct to migrate north. So that's often why we get a few spring records, I think. So, yeah, it's interesting.
And might this latch on to another group of birds? If there's other birds moving south, might it kind of join them? And
chiff chaffs and I mean, it would certainly be nice to see a spring Blackburnian warbler. I mean, that's for sure. So
that's a beautiful, stunning bird, though. Stunning bird. Well done. Brilliant.
Yeah, thank you, mate. So and then last weekend I had a tour up to Yorkshire, East Yorkshire, and again the weather was, like your pop-up event, the weather was really conducive for migration. So we had this lovely, nice male black redstart. This was at Flamborough Head, and there were bramblings, quite a lot of bramblings. A couple of bramblings here. This is at Sperm Point, and these were just these birds were literally 6 feet away.
Wow.
They'd obviously just come in and they're just feeding up on the hawthorn berries.
Yep.
Dusky warbler, not the most exciting bird in the world, but this nice dusky warbler was at Flamborough, and we all managed to get some nice views of that. And there's been quite a few.
Sorry, I was going to say keep that on the screen just for a second, because we've got something coming later on that'll be relevant. So just for people to look at the kind of the colour of the colour of the eye stripe in front of the eye. Here, and the colour of the legs.
Yeah, what's the legs?
And the sort of vent as well, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, this is quite. To be fair, it was in sunshine, so it's a little bit overexposed in this area here. But it's the first one I've seen for a number of years, actually. So that was nice. And then these were lots of field fares, so well worth. We had several hundred field fares coming in off the sea. And I've not seen any locally at the moment. So again, if anyone's seen field fares recently, let us know. A really dodgy view of a Pallas's warbler. It blends in really well. That was a pretty ropey shot. And we managed to see two of these. This is not at the nays, unfortunately. But this is red flank bluetail. So, and again, we've mentioned this before on previous shows, but we're still waiting for Essex's first record. So
I was going to say, couldn't you have just put one in your hand luggage and brought it back with you?
Oh, do you know what? That'd have been really good. So red flank bluetail, and we saw two of those. One at Spurn and one at Filey. So and then last but not least, finished off with this is at Bempton Cliffs, and managed to pick up this osprey as it was flying out over the sea, being mobbed by herring gulls. So a young bird, again with a pale fringing. That was a sort of a bit of an unexpected bird, especially in sort of late October.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you know if they get them at Bempton that often, or is it that must be a good bird for Bempton, I reckon?
Yeah, they're a migrant. I mean, all the local birders were out looking for it, because there was a report of it earlier, apparently, which we hadn't seen. So all the local birders were at the visitor centre waiting for it to fly past, but it'd already been and gone, and so that was So that's my last month. So not much Essex based, unfortunately.
Spot on. Well, I've got just a few local pictures. Again, I tend to stay local with work and stuff, and there's so much around locally as well. I can't kind of drag myself away from the local patches. So to start with, can you see that?
Yeah. Oh, that's nice. I like that.
So nice juvenile or young spotted flycatcher that was on the 1st of October, and that was at Ardley Reservoir. Just stopped to have a look on the way to work, and it was flitting around the bushes nearby, so it was really nice to see. And also at Ardley this month, but good birds for there. I've had greenshank, that was there for 2 or 3 days. Grey wagtails are back. There's a couple of grey wags just flitting around and calling and generally making a nuisance of themselves, and they're such lovely little birds, aren't they? They're really, really, really smart. Also had my first redwings at Ardley, and I can say that I've seen a field fair. So had a field fair in the top of a tree, and then a group of 7 flew over not long
Nice.
after actually. So yeah,
Nice.
that was nice to see. And there's been lots of long-tailed tits going around the bushes, which are always gorgeous to watch. Little lollipops flying down the road together, and the call they make as well. It's a little bit like Goldcrest, but not, isn't it? It's really
Very
nice.
high,
Yeah.
high pitched, and that sort of trilling.
Just a real pure note though, lovely. And the first goosander is back for the autumn at Ardie as well. So just one at the moment. And I'm not sure, is that a female or a young bird? Because it's got the sort of laws here.
I think it's a young bird. Yeah,
yeah, it looks like a young bird.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, really nice to see that back as well, which is good. And then I did my Webb's count in middle of October, and that was at Catawade. And it was a really good day for raptors. You can see it was lovely blue skies. So had a couple of red kites, had buzzards and kestrel. There was the osprey flying around as well. There's been an osprey on the stir recently. And I had a couple of these, which was nice. So walking back through the field, rooks, a couple of big rooks, a couple of ravens, and I think they came up off the sheep field. Actually, I hadn't noticed them, so as I was walking through, I possibly flushed them because they just rose up with a flock of jackdaw. They didn't call, but they were flying around. And when you see them near jackdaw, you've got the jackdaw at the top right here, and most people know how much bigger than jackdaw a crow is, and this is just another couple of sizes up again. It's huge.
That's nice comparison shot there, Matt.
Yeah, they're really nice. But one of my favourite birds probably of the year so far was this lovely barred warbler. I think Daryl Style found it down at the Naze, and it had kind of not been seen the day that I went down, and I bumped into Brian Combs and was chatting to him, and he had to go back, and he said to me, why don't you carry on for a bit, see if it pops up? So I'm really glad that he persuaded me to do that, because I carried on for a bit and it popped up and got some really nice views of it. Never seen one before, so that was
nice. Oh, good.
Yeah, really pleased with that.
Nice shot.
Obviously it's a grey bird, but it's a chunky bird. It's really chunky, and
they're a big warbler, and they sort of like bumble around in the bushes, and you can see the bush moving inside with them when they move around.
And the eye as well. Everything's so pale about it, but the eye is just that beautiful. I didn't quite capture it really on the photo because it was a zoomed in photo, but it's just beautiful sort of tanny colour, really. It's lovely.
Nice one.
Another grey wag. So this was at Rye Mead. So Terry and Mel. I think Mel's watching tonight, and I'm not sure if Terry Mulby is, but Terry, Mel, and Terry's grandson George. I met the three of them at RSPB Rye Meads over in Hertfordshire, and I've never been there before. And what a great little site.
Yeah, great reserve.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And we picked up a water rail out in the open on the other side of the first hide. This lovely grey wag was posing really nicely in front of the hide. But Mel had promised me close views of kingfisher. So we walked around, and there's a new kingfisher viewpoint at the site. And Mel said, right, come and sit in here. And he was telling me how close they were the previous day and how amazing views people had got. And as he was talking, we heard a peep, and the kingfisher just flew into a post in front of us. And so luckily had the camera there and managed to get some nice kingfisher shots. So
that's beautiful.
It's a female bird, and I thought it was going to look lovely with the foliage, but it would be really nice if it moved onto the branch to the right in the open. And so a couple of seconds later, it moved onto the branch in the right in the open. So got some nice,
beautiful,
blurry background as well. Yeah,
that is really, a superb bird, mate.
Really pleased with that. What a lovely bird kingfishers are. And I think there was a male there as well, and they were calling to each other, and he flew in, and then they both flew off. But probably 5 or 10 minutes we were watching them, and absolutely really gorgeous. Yeah, really lovely. So thanks, Mel. Thanks, Terry.
It's certainly one of the best places to see kingfisher, isn't it?
Oh, you're not going to get a better view than that of a kingfisher, I don't think.
No.
So really good. And then last but not least, I went to Frinton a couple of days ago and got there just about for sunrise. That's as close to sunrise as I normally get. So beautiful sun coming up over the sea. And they were just had a wander around. I was looking for Pallas's warbler, which unfortunately I didn't get, but there was lovely sanderling, little flock of sanderling on the beach. A few more of them in the background just taken off. And then on the way back to the car, I just got this wren, which I know is only a wren, but I just thought it was a really nice shot.
Lovely.
Sitting on a bush and, calling away, chirring away. Really nice. But I also found this month, I didn't manage to get a picture, but I did find a Lapland bunting at the Naze, which, again, I hadn't seen a Lapland bunting before. And yeah, I didn't really quite know what it was to start with. Thought it might be a snow bunting because it was so pale, but then worked out what it was, and really nice. But I only had it for a few seconds, so no chance for a picture, but nice to see.
Yeah, good bird.
That's my one. Have we got anyone saying anything?
Let's have a look. Yeah, Richard Chew said I couldn't resist showing the Blackburnian warbler. No, you couldn't. To be fair, I couldn't resist it. Mike O'Hanlon says, how comes a very rare visitor gets a very English name, Blackburnian warbler? So in good old tradition, I Googled, because obviously I have no idea why, but apparently it's named after either Anna Blackburn or her brother Ashton Blackburn, and they were naturalists in the 1700s.
Oh,
so obviously, they obviously went to America, that's interesting. They actually never went to America. They've never been to America, but she had a strong interest in birds of the New World.
Okay.
There's lots. Yeah, there's lots about that. But
wow.
So that's how the name comes from the Blackburns. So there you go. Good old Google.
That's interesting. Yeah, it's always got an answer for everything, hasn't it? Google.
It has. Yeah.
Anything else?
Vince Briggs and Richard Chew both heard redwings flying over at night last week.
Nice, well done.
So they're on their way. Sandra said, "Wow, cracking kingfishers shots."
Oh, thank you.
And Richard Chew said he was at Rye Meads yesterday. Excellent views of kingfisher, water pipit, green sand. He said Hertfordshire though, not Essex, and highly recommended. People talking about Rye Meads. So kingfishers have had 4 broods this year at Rye Meads, which is really good. And then Mel Shepherd Wells has come in and says, "You're welcome to your visit, Matt. Free bird guide." It was free. He didn't charge you for your visit, and Mel volunteers at Rye Meads. So yeah, well done, Mel.
I think I might owe a cup of coffee and a bit of cake on the next field trip. I think.
Well, if you play your cards right, Sandra might bring some, and then you haven't got to buy any.
Okay, shall we do some viewer stuff?
Yeah.
So we've had a few. So basically, we're going to do a few viewer pictures now. John Ward has also sent in one of his mindful moments. Then we're going to have a short break. Then we're going to come back with the Wader ID section. That's going to be about 20 minutes or so, we think, and then it'll be wrapping the show up. So it's going to be a little bit later than normal because of the slight delay on the start. And again, once again, apologies for that, but we will get there. So we've had some photos sent in, and the first one I'm going to share, Steve, is this rather nice marsh harrier, but there's something a little bit strange about it, isn't there?
Yeah, so David Smith sent this in to us earlier today. So he's been photographing this bird for a little while now at Fingering Her Witch. So it's an adult female marsh harrier, but if you can sort of zoom in a bit closer, you can see it's got this like foot deformity, which we think is what's known as bumblefoot. So it's basically where some bacteria or something a bit nasty gets in the bird's foot, maybe through a little wound, and it just causes really big inflammation. But obviously it's managing to feed. I mean, you can still see its talons there. So I don't know whether it's makes it uncomfortable for the bird or not, but presumably it's still managing to feed all right. But unless anyone's got any other ideas of what's sort of a matter with it. But Matt and I were talking earlier, and we think it's bumblefoot.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone knows anything else that it could be, or if anyone's got any opinions on whether the bird's going to actually be able to cope, manage moving forwards, hopefully it will. But fingers crossed. So thanks for sending those in, David.
Absolutely, yeah, really good.
Next up, we're going to play a little quick game of Spot the Little Owl. So we won't have it on for too long. Can you see that one?
Yep, I can see it.
Okay, so this was sent in by Paul Daughtry, and this is the Woodpile at Aberton. And can you spot the little owl, Steve?
I can spot the little owl.
Right, my pointer's in the middle. Where is it?
Up to your right. Right. Stop.
Ding, ding, ding. There you go. Just tucked in the corner there.
I don't remember this program, but isn't there something called the Golden Shot that people talk about?
Oh my goodness, I don't know. Maybe, I'm not sure.
Yeah, apparently you'd probably have to Google that. Actually, I've heard of it. I don't know, but they used to like go right and shoot or something. I have no idea. So
that sounds like it could be a thing, definitely. So yeah, that was sent in by Paul Daughtry. So thank you very much for that, Paul. And got some pictures here from Glenn as well. So this is from Glenn Moore. Hold on, let me just bring it up. So he sent in half a dozen pictures. Now, the first one, we were talking earlier about the size of the barred warbler, weren't we? And quite a handy shot, this one, because you can see it next to a blue tit. And as Steve said, it's just so much chunkier, isn't it? Really, really chunky little bird. Can you see that?
Yep, see that.
Yep. So blue tit, everyone knows how big it is. Just barred warbler, pale grey, chunky, just a lovely, lovely bird. Glenn's also sent in a couple of photos of Pallas's warbler. Says there's been a Pallas's warbler at the Naze. It was seen for a couple of days. Then I went to see it and it wasn't seen all day. And then it's back again the day after I was there, I think. So,
Sod's law, that is.
But what a beautiful little bird. Absolutely stunning and really nice head-on shot here. You can see the lovely line down the bird's head.
Yeah, central crown stripes, really nice.
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. But if you remember, we were looking at your dusky warbler photo earlier.
Yeah.
Glenn found this bird at the Naze, and this is a Rad's warbler. So the Rad's warbler has got a different sort of colour eye stripe in front of the eye. It's not quite as prominent, I don't think, as the dusky. But the main thing is it's got very pale, chunky legs, and it's got a lovely sort of peachy tones to the vent and the underside of the bird, hasn't it?
It's got quite a big supercilium that sort of flicks up at the rear, which is probably on that leaf.
We get a shot of that in a second. So you've got the really pale, chunky legs there, and then the super. You can kind of see it. It's more prominent behind the eye, I think, isn't it? On Rad's,
that's it.
Yeah.
And so it's got those sort of yellow undertail, sort of yellowy buff undertail coverts, and also it's a really chunky. It's quite a stocky sort of warbler.
Okay.
But yeah, these should be wintering in, I don't know, India or somewhere like that. You know, but it's a really good Essex bird. So yeah, well done to Glenn for finding that.
Absolutely,
cracking bird.
Really, really good bird. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to get down there because I think it was only around for a day, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah, I think it was. I was busy, so yeah, I couldn't get to see it. But yeah, so yeah, hopefully, mind you, still time for another one.
Yep, you never know. You never know. Right. Okay. So what we're going to do, we're going to show a video. So John Ward has kindly sent in a video. This is about 3 minutes. I'm going to mute my microphone, hopefully not kill Zoom again, and see if we can have a nice mindful moment with John Ward. So let me just see if I can get this up. Hold on.
I'll mute as well. Yep.
Here we go. So can you see that on the screen, Steve?
Yep, that's perfect, mate. Go for it.
Okay. So I'm going to do this. And we'll be back in 3 minutes. Then we're just going to have a short break where people can go and make a cup of coffee. So give us 3 minutes, and we'll be back in a moment.
And relax. That was superb. Do you know what? I don't know how he does it, because that, do you know what? That's BBC quality filming.
I've got an idea. I'm going to ask John if he can do like an hour and a half, one of those, and then next month we'll just press play and just watch that for an hour and a half.
You know what? I'm more than happy to do that, to be honest. Do you know what? That was phenomenal.
The Wimbrel was brilliant. The wheat here. And I love the oyster catcher just over the grass, and the turnstone just kind of yeah, super.
Doesn't have to be the rare stuff, does it? It's just nice showing the common birds just doing what they do. Slightly worrying. I love the medgull, obviously. You know, like there was a meadow pipit on a fence. It comes to something when you recognise the fence.
Oh, really? Where was that?
At Abberton on the Layer de la Haye Causeway. I recognised the fence.
Oh, it was, wasn't it? Yes, yeah.
Well, I know that fence.
Oh, fantastic.
Oh, well done, John. That was
really good.
Absolutely
really good.
Superb.
And coming back to what you just said, I think, yeah, the common birds, because quite often it's so easy to kind of be watching and you think, oh, turnstone, sanderling, yeah, whatever, you know, because you're looking for something more unusual. But sometimes just take a moment and just watch those birds that you see all the time, because they're brilliant, they're mega, and they just do things, and they're absolutely wonderful.
Yeah. What's he going to come up with next month then? No pressure then, John.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, that's going to be pretty hard to beat, I think. So that was a really good one. Right, we're going to have a quick break. So let me see if I can get the break thing up. Now we're back to one of my little horrible videos for 3 minutes. So let me just go back to that. Hold on a second.
Go and put the kettle on, grab a cup of tea. So I'm saying sorry, we're a bit behind schedule tonight. We're obviously with a few technical issues at the beginning of the show. But yeah, we'll be back in a couple of minutes, and we've got our ID guide to waders and a few bits more. So.
Brilliant. Oh my goodness, Steve, your microphone's gone again. You sound like a Smurf. Please say something. Go on, say something, anything. Okay, so do you want to come out of the meeting and rejoin it? For anyone that didn't see this, during the September Big County Birdwatch, this happened during one of the prep sessions. No, I think you still sound like it. If you come out and go back in again, that will hopefully work. Do I sound okay? Okay, do you want to, if you leave the meeting and I'll readmit you? Okay. Oh my goodness. Okay, thanks everyone for sticking with us tonight. I do apologise. We've obviously had some technical issues. I've got no idea what's going on. So the issue at the beginning, it dumped me out, and it may be something on my end. It may be something with Zoom. I don't know, but hold on one second. Hopefully Steve will be coming back in. Here we go. And fingers crossed it will work. If not, then it will have to be me and a Smurf for the rest of the show, I think. Hold on.
What's that?
That's better.
Hey! Oh, crikey. Do you know what?
Oh, my goodness.
I've got this quality, really professional microphone. It's rubbish.
You couldn't make it up. We had the bit at the beginning, and then obviously we forgot you as a Smurf in the second half. So there we go. Hopefully everyone's enjoying themselves.
I have no idea why that happened, because I didn't even do anything. You know, it's just...
So we've got a bit of chat. So Les Malloy said, "Blimey, this music, is it sound of the century now?" And then we just got lots of laughy faces, I think, from everyone.
Right. I'm glad you find me amusing. Thank you.
Paul said, "It sounds like you've been breathing helium. Please carry on with it." You know what? If we knew how that worked, we'd do a whole show like that. That would be so funny, wouldn't it? It would be great. Bring back Alvin. Oh my goodness, that's hilarious. Steve's just had a helium tea. Okay. Yeah, I shouldn't have told him actually, Tim. You're right. I should have just carried on because he didn't know. But I wouldn't have been able to stop laughing.
It's these spandex underpants I've got on, I reckon.
Oh no. Right, okay. So without further ado, shall we do some winter wader ID?
Do some winter wader. I mean, people are still watching, so
I know. I think that's just for the comedy value, to be fair, tonight.
Yeah, maybe next month's show will be more with it.
Right, okay. So if I get the first picture up, we'll have to try and do this seriously without laughing, because we'll probably pull this out and put it onto the YouTube site as a segment. So
there's people. There's like someone said, "Have I been auditioning for children's TV?" And Annette, the wife who's watching in the room next door, she's in tears laughing.
It just sounds so funny. You have to watch it back afterwards. It is really funny.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Winter wader ID.
Wader ID. My head hurt. You know when you've been laughing so much, the back of your head hurts.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So let's get serious. So winter wader ID. So I think the idea of this piece, we've taken a few of the more common waders you're likely to see during the winter, and we've tried to get some pictures of them in winter plumage, and then we're going to sort of point out some of the ID features. So this is the first one, and this is of course a Dunlin. And how do we know it's a Dunlin, Steve?
I mean, I've got a frog in my throat because I've been laughing. So yeah, so it's got sort of a medium length bill. It's quite small. Hopefully Matt in a few seconds will go on to the other bits.
There we go. Yeah. So for anyone that has a mobile phone, if you want to, more welcome, take a picture of this screen, because we tried to put some ID pointers on the screen. This one's a little bit tricky to read because of the colours. The others are all okay. So yeah, sorry, go on, Steve, carry on.
Yeah, as Matt said, or sorry, we said earlier, yeah, so it's got a sort of a medium length bill, slightly curved. They do vary in length, just to do with the different races. So some of the northern race birds have longer bills. But yeah, Matt's got marks up on here. Yeah, doesn't really have much of a supercilium, very sort of weak sort of supercilium, and it's quite a browny more plumage than some of the other waders, and really nice. The winter plumage, lovely white belly underneath. Some of the juveniles have a few specks on still at this time of year, but yeah, it's a common wader around the coast at the moment, and yeah, but hopefully we've got some other species to compare this with.
So this is Dunlin in flight, and for those eagle-eyed amongst you, you might spot a different species in the flock, which we're going to be covering later on. But if we have a closer look at the Dunlin in flight, so you can see the birds. They generally look brown and white. Really, they're very twisty, turny in the light. So if the sunlight catches them, you tend to see the white undersides really glistening as the flock moves up or down the river or estuary. And so you're looking for the rump of the bird is kind of a brown center with white tail edges, and that's quite prominent in flight. If you see the brown bird, just look for a rump, because the other bird, it could be as curlew sandpiper, they have a white rump, but Dunlin is a brown rump with white edges. You've got a very obvious brown head and neck on the white underside, brown upper parts with the darker wedge on the wing, with a fairly noticeable white wing bar as well. And as I mentioned, you've got white underwing, white belly. So it's very, very much brown and white on the ground and in flight.
A lot of these waders, when you see them in the books, they all look very similar, but actually in the field, they're reasonably okay to identify, as long as you get a good view. So this is a knot. So this is a much chunkier bird. It's all much more rugby ball shape. It's got that very sort of oval shape. And again, sort of quite a short, thickish bill, more of a prominent supercilium than the Dunlin, and it's got these plain grey edges, sort of to the white grey feathers with the white edges, just round here. What else we've got? So yeah, and also this one's obviously been feeding in very thick mud, but they have got a sort of grenishy legs. Sometimes they look a bit more grey, but very much a sort of grey, and off black sort of colour legs. and they've got these little sort of chevrons on the breast and flanks. So where we saw Dunlin, much more white underneath, but not is much more sort of grayer and flecked underneath. Lovely little bird that is. Nice shot as well.
Again, you got a flight shot here as well. Interestingly, a couple of these birds have got some of the summer plumage left, so they look very different in summer plumage. We don't really see them in summer plumage in Essex, but you know, they're very quite a bright looking bird in the summer. But most of these, as you can see, are very much grey. They just look very grey in flight, quite chunky. Slightly closer look here, and you can see you've got the dark wedge on the outer wing in flight, which is quite prominent. Barred rump. So if you get a look at the tail end of the bird, from a distance it looks very pale, but if you get a closer look, it's actually got small bars on it, and quite a thin white wing bar on knot as well. It's not quite as noticeable as on some species. So grey bird, dark outer wings, and a pale looking rump, and just quite chunky. Shorter bill, with short, sort of fairly thick bill. Again, is quite easily noticeable in flight.
So that rugby ball shape is quite sort of, and you can actually see it here with a comparison shot. So we've got some sort of Dunlin in the foreground, and then we've got 3 or 4 knots sort of back left.
Yeah,
but they're quite different size. I mean, you can see the size difference between the two species here.
That's the thing. If you look at the knot just here, and you've got the Dunlin just to the left here, very, very different in size and shape as well. So when you see them next to each other, you think, how could I ever get them mixed up? But sometimes, you know, it's not quite as easy if there's just a solitary bird on its own. But certainly they're different. Yeah.
And you can see the colour there as well. The brown of the Dunlin, the grey of the knot.
Yeah.
And actually you can see the second bird from the left in the back there. You can actually sort of make out its sort of greeny legs there.
Yeah.
Which is
nice. So just quite useful to get a shot of them all next to each other.
Yeah, lovely.
Next up.
So we've got sandling next. So these tend to be much more birds found on sandy and rocky, well, we'll say rocky, sort of pebbly shores, especially sort of South End's a good place, sort of Shoebury, not Two Tree Island, what's it called? Gunners Park, sorry. And then up at the Naze and places like Frinton, really good for these. And these are a smart looking bird, but these are like very pale grey. They're just almost more ghostly sort of colour. Again, sort of short black bill and very white underneath. And as Matt's put on here, if you have a good close look at its legs, got black legs, but this one has no rear toe. So all the other waders have got like a hind toe, but this doesn't. And they just look really cute, really sort of lovely little bird. And if you want watching them on the beach, they're running up and down like clockwork toys. So cracking bird.
Yeah, they tend to still go in and out of the surf as it comes in, doesn't it? You know, as the waves hit the sea, hit the beach, they're in and out of the waves and picking up food and so on. So once again in flight, similar to not in terms of the coloration, so kind of grey looking, but very, very white underneath. You've got a more prominent wing bar on a probably a blacker wing when they're in flight. Obviously a smaller bird. It's a Dunlin size, as we saw from the picture a few moments ago with the Dunlin flock. There was one sandling in with the Dunlin, and the shorter bill is noticeable. And you've got a kind of a grey coloured rump with quite prominent white edges. So very pale looking head as well. I've noticed in flight that the head looks almost white when you get good light on the bird. So grey, black wings, white wing bar, very pale underneath, very white, and very pale head.
Yeah, nice. And then say these are quite easily to find around the Essex coast. So then we move on to something a little bit bigger now. So we're now on to the godwits. So this is a black-tailed godwit. So it's a sort of quite a largish wader. But black-tailed godwits all in the winter are always very sort of plain grey on the upper parts with that long pink and black straight bill. So it's almost straight out. They just look very plain looking. But depends how big your writing is. So they say that if you can write the word, so from its underbelly to its it's its ankle joint is this, but it looks like its knee.
Yep.
If you can write the word black in there, it's a black-tailed godwit, so quite long tibia. And then if it's short and you can write the word bar in it, then it's going to be a bar-tailed godwit. It depends how big your writing is. Whether you're writing capitals or lowercase or various other things. So
okay, so if we look at black-tailed godwits in flight, so in flight they're quite distinctive, to be fair. You've got a very, very noticeable white wing bar, sort of black wings, an extremely noticeable white rump with black tail, of course, being a black-tailed godwit, as we can see when we move a little bit closer. And the main thing you can see in flight really is the long bill and the legs that stick out from the back of the bird. So they stick out a long way. That the complete foot is proud of the tail. So they really have a very sort of long, extenuated look in flight. They tend to fly closely together, godwits. So when you see a flock of pretty chunky sized waders and they're fairly closely packed, the chances are they're going to be godwits. But yeah, very, very distinctive in flights. Underside, haven't put any markers on here, but just pale, very pale looking, long wings, long legs, and you've just got that black trailing edge. So it's kind of a reverse of what you can see on the top. But from the underside, it is really the legs and the bill you're looking for, isn't it, Steve?
And I say that wing bar, you can even see the wing bar through the sort of on the underwing as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're lovely bird, and these can be found all around the coast, and it's well worth checking reservoirs. There's quite a few, certainly Hanningfield, Abberton, and a few other inland waters. If the water level is low, then you'll find black-tailed godwits. So they love this sort of freshwater habitat. Yep. As well.
But this isn't a black-tailed godwit.
It's a bar-tailed godwits.
Hey.
So yeah, so this is these are slightly scarcer around Essex than black-tailed godwit, but you can see it's got this lovely scalloped sort of tortoiseshell upper parts, whereas on the black-tailed godwit we just showed, very plain grey, a bit more of a supercilium, and it's got this long bill, and it's got a nice slightly upturn to it. But that does vary sometimes. Sometimes you get some very nice, really upturned bar-tailed godwits, and it's got these short legs, the short tibia. So again, depends how big your writing is. But yeah, if you can write the word bar in there, then it's a bar-tailed godwit. And these are pretty much exclusively found coastal, around the Essex coast. They do turn up occasionally inland, especially on sort of migration times of year. But well worth keeping an eye out. And certainly if you go to places like Fingering you can often see both species side by side. Mistley as well, isn't there, Matt? Mistley's a good place.
Yes, yeah. I mean, you'll get the odd one turn up at Mistley, and if you go just a bit further downriver to Ravness, that's quite good to see them. You can stand on the seawall there and quite often get bar-tailed godwits there as well. This one, strangely, because it's so close, this is one of the two that turned up at Abberton, I think, a couple of years ago. Do you remember?
I do remember.
Got nice views, and they're always nice when you see them somewhere that they shouldn't be, as with any bird, to be fair. Incidentally, before we carry on, please, we're not advocating that somebody should try and catch a black-tailed or bar-tailed godwit and write it on their leg, of course. Which this is just something you can imagine doing while you're watching them through your binoculars or scope from the safe distance. Right, okay.
Shame, because I had my baro out ready, so that was like.
So bar-tailed godwits in flight, they look completely different to black-tailed godwits. So this is a kind of a distant shot. We go a little bit closer. So you can still see that you've got the long bill, but even in flight, you can see it's slightly upturned. I think pretty much all of these birds have got like an upturn to the bill. But the main thing you'll notice is that the feet do not project from the tail. They're pretty much level with the rear of the bird. So you've got long bill, but no feet almost. There's no white wing bar on the bar-tailed godwit. You've just got the white V extending up the back, as you can see on this bottom bird here. And of course, bar-tailed godwits, they have a barred tail rather than that black and white tail. So quite distinctive in flight if you look for those features. Hopefully you won't get them muddled up. But it's mainly the fact that the bird doesn't have the projecting feet. Yeah. You can tell it's a godwit, but it looks shorter, doesn't it? It looks like it's cut off at the rear end almost.
Yeah. And if you, yeah, I say a nice shot there in flight there, isn't there? So you can
Yeah.
see that little wing bar
And the underside there as well. You know, this
white.
isn't a particularly good shot, but very, very pale looking, and no feet sticking out. They're all
Yeah.
quite attenuated at the rear. And we've got a comparison shot there, haven't we?
Well, that's a cracking shot, actually showing black-tailed godwit on the right. So you can see how plain brown and how plain the upper parts are. And how long-legged, obviously the left-hand bird, which is the bar-tailed godwit, is in different depth of water there, but you can see how long-legged the black-tailed godwit is in comparison. And again, that sort of marbled effect on the back bar-tailed godwit. So yeah, it's really good comparison shot there, Matt.
You've got obviously the supercilium on this particular bird is very noticeable, and I think because the black-tailed is so long-legged, it makes it look a bit more elegant almost, whereas bar-tailed godwits look just a little bit dumpier for me when they're on, when you get good views of them, because the legs are that much shorter.
No, good call. Yeah, definitely. And then I think these are our final two. So we've got grey plover.
Yes.
So again, common species around the coast. Very thick bill in compared with our next species. It's got this lovely sort of dark spot behind the eye, and it's sort of very spangly, sort of mottled grey. Very elegant bird. Very large eye as well, which is quite typical of all the plovers. Pale underneath, as Matt's marked here, with this sort of speckly streaked breast. And they tend to feed completely different to the other waders. All the plovers feed really slowly with a couple of steps and a peck, whereas all the other waders tend to be a bit more frenetic.
They kind of stop as well, don't they, before they peck? To me, they always look like they're kind of step, stop, peck, stop, step, stop. It's a very deliberate feeding action, isn't it?
Yeah, and they're using their eyes to find the food, rather than like the godwits will just stick their bill in the mud, and its bill will find the food. Where these plovers are, and that goes for things like lapwing, ring plover, all the plovers. They've got this big eye that they're basically looking for food on the surface. So yeah, lovely bird that is.
In flight, grey plovers, once again, it's a grey bird in flight, and this is the reason we've done this, because so many of these birds superficially, you can watch them as they either as they're flocking on the beach at distance or as they fly past you at speed, and you can think they all look the same, but they really don't if you just spend a moment to look for those key identification features. So another grey bird in flight, you've got the dark outer wing, a white flash on the outer wing. I'd describe it as more than a sort of a complete wing bar. You can see the spangled back and spangled wing coverts in flight. Pale looking barred tail again. Short dumpy bill is visible in flight, and you'll see the eye as well, because the eye is so big, as Steve was saying. But the main thing you're looking for is the black armpits, or auxiliaries is the technical term. And they're very, very prominent in flight. So as the bird's flying, doesn't matter what angle you see it from, you are going to see those black armpits. So that's really what you're looking out for with grey plover. They look quite long-winged in flight as well, as a lot of plovers tend to do. But the black armpits are really what you're looking for in flight. I don't think any other birds have got those of that sort of size, have they?
No, nothing as far as I'm aware, Matt. No. So then we've got our final species. So this is golden plover. So as is quite obvious for this bird, it's very much more golden, got that sort of warm golden brown spangled plumage. But in comparison with the grey plover, it's got a much thinner, more sharply pointed bill. It's got the big eye, again, which it uses for feeding, quite pale greyish legs. And you've got, that's something people overlook. It's got this like very gentle look to them. It's lovely. Yeah, lovely bird. And I say that spangled plumage is cracking. So even in poor light, you get that warm tone on them, which is just nice to see.
Yeah, this particular bird I think is a young bird, because you've got more barring on the flanks and underbelly here. I think the adult winter birds they're almost identical plumage, but they just wouldn't have quite as much barring underneath.
Just a bit paler on the belly and stuff on the adult birds, yeah.
So as you can see here, this is a group of adult birds in winter plumage in flight, and very, very easy to pick them out if you get some decent views, because in flight in good light they just look golden. They really, really sort of shimmer. They shine in the light. They're absolutely stunning. They've got a fairly distinctive flight style. Once you're used to it, you can pick them out, and you've got very clear demarcation between the golden breast and the white underbelly on the adult birds. Very pale underwing, very pale belly, and once again you've got the dark prims with the white flash. So the primary's probably similar to grey plover in a way, but just with a much more golden plumage and a much clearer divide between the breast and the white underbelly, and obviously no black armpits, no black axillaries. They're pure white. So yeah, just a really pale bird. And I think that's it. We've done kind of the more common species. Yeah, we didn't cover curlew sandpiper in autumn plumage, mainly because most of them have kind of gone through now, and they're often juvenile birds as well, aren't they? I think that we
absolutely, yeah. So we've just covered the sort of the common species that you'd expect to see around the Essex coast, especially this time of year. It's a great time to see waders. So hopefully you found that useful. And as Matt said, you can, when this gets uploaded, you can take shots and just keep them on your phone as a ID pointer. So yeah, great. Well done, Matt, for putting that together. That was really, really good.
Yeah, and I think all those birds should be present throughout pretty much the whole winter, I think, shouldn't they? So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, right the way through until at least certainly April, May time. So yeah, so go out this weekend and look for waders and see how you get on, and let us know how you get on. You know,
yeah, please do. Yeah,
were we talking sense or were we talking rubbish?
Okay, so I don't think we've got any more feedback at the moment, have we? Or have we?
We've got Glyn Evans. He said it's a rare Friday where he's not at band practice, so he's thrilled to be tuned in. So good evening, Glyn. Thanks for watching. You obviously missed all the excitement earlier, which is probably for the best. And then we've got Richard Chu, says excellent. Wintering grey wader ID. He said the summer plumages are much easier to identify. Well, yeah. But yeah, winter they're certainly a bit trickier. So I'm glad that was helpful. And Les Malloy, he said the flight pics were especially useful.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So it's always nice to they're not easy in flight, especially sometimes you only get 5-second view of something zooming past. So yeah, hopefully those ID pointers will make life a bit easier for everyone.
Right, what's been around? So you're going to do the south, I'm going to do the north, I think. Just a brief summary of some of the key species.
Yeah, so the south has been, well, if you've not been noticing the last few weeks, it's been very mild. So we've had the winds have been predominantly sort of southwesterlies all month. We had a bit of an easterly blow middle of last week, which pushed a few bits in, but I'm a bit all random for the South Essex here tonight. So Bowers Marsh, it's been again relatively quiet there. Spoonbill, which I think has been hanging around for most of the summer, has been there. At nearby Thundersley, there was a firecrest sort of mid-month, which sort of coincided with a bit of an influx into other parts of Essex. As we said earlier, Gunners Park, the Dartford warbler hang around for a couple of days. And also there was firecrest there. So again, part of this influx. Last week at West Canvey Marshes, there was a woodlark that was flushed. And for those who are thinking of going down there, West Canvey is currently closed, as far as certainly was last week. They had a bad fire there in the summer, and it's a bit of a health and safety issue there at the moment. So that's still closed. But Canvey, Canvey's been, again, the winds haven't been great, but when the winds went easterly at the weekend last week, we've had Pomerine Skewer there on the 19th and 20th. I managed to see one there on the 19th, and they've had Arctic Skewer, Great Skewer, Kittiwakes. So similar to what Matt had up on the Sea Watch at Frinton during the week. Tilbury's probably had most of the excitement. The stone curlews, the 3 stone curlews are still there, which is like amazing. So maybe they'll overwinter, who knows? But they've had Dartford warbler there, again mirroring the Gunners Park bird. They've had hooper swan, merlin, hen harrier, and both common redstart and black redstart. So a couple of good birds, and that echoes again why it was so good in the Big County Birdwatch. They've had lots of, it's just good habitat, it's well watched, so produces good birds. Raynham's had water pipit, cattle egret, again another Dartford warbler, woodlark and osprey, which is again good. The water levels have been quite low there, but I think things are picking up a little bit there now. And then moving slightly further north, Hanningfield's had an osprey, and again I think that bird may well have been around for quite a while. And for those who know, Hanningfield's got loads of trout in, so there's loads of foods for ospreys that are passing by. Old Hall Marshes has had hen harrier in the, especially yesterday. I think there was a male there yesterday. And then Simon Wood in Heybridge found a yellow-browed warbler a couple of days ago. So that's a good inland record. So yeah, I've got no photographs for anything for the south of Essex today, but yeah, that's me pretty much rounded up.
Excellent, thanks, Steve. Well done. So yeah, sort of northeast of Essex. Similar story in terms of all the winter birds coming through. Lots of vismig, which we'll come to later on. So that's visible migration, flocks of birds flying overhead. Abberton's been fairly quiet, really, for Abberton. There's still been little stints, curlew sandpipers. The gargany was around at the beginning of the month. There's been a few red-crested pochard recently. Black-necked grebes, again, were still around for the early part of the month. Darrell Rhymes had a black tern on the 17th of October. And there's Caspian gull. It's the first winter Caspian gull there at the moment as well, which is a challenge for people to pick out. So something to go and practice on if you can. Just a quick note, Matt Holland, sorry, not Matt Holland, I do apologise, he's a footballer. Matt Lonsdale at Holland-on-Sea. I think I've done that before. I do that all the time because he's at Holland-on-Sea. So Matt Lonsdale over at Holland Haven, he had some really good house martin passage on the 3rd of October. He had, I think there was 5,000 plus house martin. And just very quickly, can you see that? Oh, can you see that video on the screen, Steve?
Yep, I can see it.
Yep. So if I just press play, it's only a 12-second clip, but I think he was stood on the pillbox by the looks of it. And this is just some of the house martins that were just flying through, you know, around and just on passage, obviously. So there we go.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. And bear in mind, that's taken on a phone. So, you know, it looks zoomed out on a phone. These birds, you see, they were just flying around his head continuously. And to have over 5,000 birds go through must have been pretty exciting. So that was on the 3rd. On the 4th of October, Sean Minns had a honey buzzard over Highwoods Country Park in Colchester, which is just around the corner from me. So that would have been nice to see, but that's a really, really good sighting. Again, osprey been seen quite regularly on the Stour over the last sort of couple of weeks. I think it's gone now, but Mark now has managed to get this snap of the bird. He thinks it caught a fish that was so large it couldn't take it off to its usual eating point, so it just dolloped down on the mud somewhere and started munching away on the mud flats. So that must have been quite good to see. Also, we've had yellow-browed warblers. There's been up to 9 yellow-browed warblers, I think, at various locations through the north of the county. So there've been birds at Frinton, there've been birds at the Naze, birds at Harwich. So on and off through the month, yellow-browed warblers are doing really well. We obviously had the barred warbler that Darrell Style found at the Naze on the 12th. Glenn Moore found that Rad's warbler on the 18th. So that, once again, Glenn, fantastic find. A female hen harrier or ringtail hen harrier, might have been a young bird, that was seen at the Naze again on the 21st by Brian Combs. And on the 24th of October, Brian found a Palace's warbler at the Naze. And I think I've got a couple of pictures here. So this was a picture taken by Mike O'Hanlon, and this is an absolutely cracking picture. Look at this one.
Oh,
gorgeous
wow.
bird. Gorgeous
that
bird.
Is amazing.
And I think for anyone knows the Naze, I think it was seen from the John Weston Reserve right the way through the double hedgerow up to the farm gate. So it's quite a mobile bird, and it was seen there again today, assuming it's the same bird. So it's well worth going down and having a look for, because it's a little cracker. Also, the Naze has been the odd firecrest. I had one calling when I was there a few days ago, and Mike O'Hanlon again got this lovely photograph of a firecrest.
Well done, Mike. That's
Really lovely
amazing.
little birds. Yeah, gorgeous. And there's also been just various locations: short-eared owls, merlin, red-breasted merganser, goosander, goldeneye, purple sandpiper, redpoll, brambling, lots of auks, divers, skewers, and redwings. And we've got an update from Paul Brayshaw. So Paul said he thought he'd send us a summary through. Up to today, 47,680 birds of 107 species have been noted passing Frinton during October.
Oh,
So if you're sitting comfortably, I'm going to go through them all for you now. No, not really.
Good night, everybody. I'm going to go and get my onesie on, I think.
So he's put general seabird passage has been poor. So there's been no shearwaters, but he said 46 gannets, 3 Pomeranian skewers, 6 Arctic skewers, and 1 great skewer, 22 little gulls, and 55 kittiwakes. The standout day was the 19th, when the persistently westerly airflow ceased and easterlies encouraged a mass exodus from sites to the east, producing 8,347 Brent, plus a single red-breasted goose in with a Brent flock, which is good, fulmar, and 54 kittiwake. His monthly totals so far include 15,814 Brent, 1,307 widgeon, 172 scoter, common scoter that is, 477 dunlin, 2 velvet scoter, 2 great white egrets, and 7 spoonbills. The passage during the day, the diurnal passage migration, has been good. Totals to date include 710 skylark, 5 woodlarks, which are good birds to have coming through, 552 swallows, 6,105 house martins. That coincides with that peak day that Matt had at Holland. So they're obviously moving through. They both saw them come through. 2,847 meadow pipit, 496 redwing, 144 song thrush, 454 pied wagtail, 2 bearded tits, 1,513 chaffinch, 51 brambling, 2 crossbill, 164 greenfinch, 9,258 goldfinch, 427 siskin, 2,679 linnets, 42 redpoll species, plus a single snow bunting and Lapland bunting. And I think he's also had 6 tree sparrow and at least 3 short-eared owls, as well as the yellow-browed warblers. Now, I did ask him when we did the Sea Watch, I wondered what his home list was, and he thinks his home list is 238.
That's amazing.
From his house, which is amazing.
That's
but
ridiculous.
He said it includes 2 not proven and 2 not submitted. So 234 definite and possibly 238. And he's also kindly said that if anyone's in the Frinton area in the mornings and wants to go and have a look on the greensward, so he's down the front. It's Connaught Avenue, I think. If you drive down Connaught Avenue, right at the end, there's a shelter, and he's usually going to be in or around there if you see watching. And he said if he's there, you're more than welcome to go up and introduce yourself and do a bit of sea watching with him. So he's often there, and he's a really lovely fella.
Yeah,
and he knows what he's doing as well. And for those of you that may wonder how on earth he manages to count so many different birds, I've got a little example somewhere here. Hold on. You can fill for me a second, Steve. Here we go. Here it comes.
No, he's a great guy, and he's really knowledgeable chap. And he says he's more than happy to share his expert knowledge. I wonder what his 2 non-submitted species were.
I don't know. It'd be interesting to know, wouldn't it? But this is just one page from one morning of his bird watching, sea watching from Frinton. And so when we're saying, you've seen 1,307 and 15,814 and so on, you can see he makes a note of every single group of birds that fly through, what they were, how many there were. And at the end of the day, he adds them all up. They all go on a spreadsheet. So anytime he can pull this information off, that is superb record keeping. It really is. So yeah, well done, Paul. Thank you very much indeed.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. Yeah, he does such a good job. And I say a lot of this stuff would be unreported. He puts in so much time and effort there. It's just absolutely amazing. So bird of the month then, Matt, what do you reckon?
It's got to be the Rad's Warbler, hasn't it?
Yeah, in fact, it's got to be. It's certainly a great Essex species, and it's a shame it didn't hang around. But well done for Glenn Moore for finding that, because that was a cracker.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a couple of very, very quick pictures to show that I've forgotten to show. So just really quickly, Simon Cox has been ringing down at the Naze in Holland Haven. He had a fairly late willow warbler.
Nice.
And look at the colour of that bird. I mean, it's really greeny yellow, beautiful colour. He's also been ringing a couple of red poles as well. So nice to see them coming through, as we mentioned earlier. And finally today, I think Glyn Evans is watching, isn't he? So he might be able to
help. Watching.
Yeah. There was a grey phalarope seen on the River Colne near Wivenhoe somewhere. So we think a chap called Andy Cockett found it. Please correct me if I'm wrong, Glyn. I'm not sure if this is your photo, Glyn, or not. Well, I've nabbed it off of a WhatsApp, I'll be honest with you. I didn't have time to ask permission, but I thought it's such a good bird. I'm going to pop it on the show tonight because that's a really good Essex bird, isn't it? A grey phalarope.
It is. And I had a message from Glyn earlier actually because I'm out with Glyn tomorrow on a barge trip.
Okay.
But he said he went with Chris Paul this late afternoon, but they couldn't find it. So hopefully it's still in the area. So if anyone's birding Wivenhoe, the Colne estuary, Fingering Hoe, Brightling Sea, be worth keeping your eyes out.
Yeah, maybe Phil can pick it up at the Hythe Lagoons.
And Glyn's just come back. He says yes, it was Andy, and it was his photo.
Oh, it's Andy's photo. Okay.
Andy's photo. So yeah.
Thank you, Andy. Well, thank you, Andy. That's a cracking photo. Really, really good photo. Brilliant.
And also Glyn. Talk about the mild weather. Glyn had a very late brimstone in Wivenhoe today, so the weather's just crazy, isn't it? It's like 20 degrees out. I mean, I think next week it's getting back to more normal. So yeah. And Richard Chews just messaged and said, he said, and a partridge in a pear tree.
Yeah.
He said, incredible totals from Paul at Frinton, amazing record keeping. So yeah, we'd certainly, Matt and I would second that completely.
Definitely. Right. Any other feedback? Anything else at all on Facebook?
No, nothing. No, Facebook is all quiet tonight.
Okay. We've got 3 pictures been sent in on email by Adrian Watt. So let's just share those really quickly. I'm not even sure what they are. Hold on. Right. What's that? So we've got you can tell us what that is from our wader ID earlier on, Steve. What we got? We've got long legs, we've got a long bill, we've got a black and white tail.
Sorry, no, it's a little egret. What bird? What? Oh, that bird. Oh, okay. Yeah. So yes, if you were paying attention, big white wing bar, black tail, straight bill. It's a black tail godwit.
Yep, with a little egret obviously in the background. Yeah,
with a little egret in the background. That's
we've got a lovely kingfisher. Look at that. That's a nice picture, isn't it? Lovely, beautiful.
Is that on an old traffic cone?
It looks like a manky old cone that's in the river, doesn't it? Actually, yeah. I think it is. It shows how low the water levels still are. Exactly. And look at that! Wow.
Oh, nice.
Water rail out in the open. Fabulous.
Oh, that's a cracker. I love the water effect on that. It's really nice.
Oh, gorgeous. And I think they were taken on the Stour at Maintree. So yeah, really nice. Thanks very much for those, Adrian.
Well done, Adrian. Yeah, well done, mate.
Brilliant. Right. Membership.
Right, well,
people can join, can't they?
Sorry?
People can join the society if they want to, if they're not already a member.
So we do this every month, and we will continue to do it. So apologies if you've heard this before. So first things first, if you're watching this and you've not subscribed to the YouTube channel, very simple. You just need to hit the subscribe button. We've got 1 new subscriber tonight, so thank you, whoever that was. But yeah, easy to do, and then you'll be kept up to date with our videos. But yeah, if you're not a member of the society, please join. It's £16 a year. It's really great value. So what do you get for your money? So, well, you get this lot.
Oh, and that, yeah.
And that one, and a fixture card as well. All exciting.
I haven't got mine. Mine's somewhere else, but yeah.
Right, no, I've got mine. So yeah. So you get your fixture card full of all our events, our indoor meetings, outdoor meetings, and other like Big County Birdwatch is all in here, and a list of all the officers and everything you need to know. And you get, for your £16, you get 2 copies of Essex Birding magazine. Quality publication, comes out 2 times a year. I mean, normally, how many pages? Virtually 100-page magazine.
Yep.
full of articles, reports. Great value. And
next
then
one's
also
due in January, I think, isn't it? January, the next
got a
one.
new one coming out in January. So the editor Greg Hope's working on the new one. So we look forward to seeing that. And but then pretty much our flagship publication is the Essex Bird Report. So you can see how thick it is.
It's just got everything. There's so much info in here, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. To buy this is 10 quid. 10 quid these, and these are £5 each. So you're getting 20 quid's worth of publications for £16. So what's not to like, really? But yeah,
Absolutely.
it's a great artwork, Richard Allen artwork there. Great tables. It's just a great thing. So if you want to join, and we recommend it, there's a website. If you just go on ebws.org.uk and go to membership, and you scroll down, tells you benefits of joining, and you can join online. No need to send checks in or anything. You can use PayPal, completely safe and secure, and you can join the society for £16 a year. So
while we're on here as well, very quickly, as Steve mentioned earlier, on the main homepage, if you just scroll to the very bottom, you can pop in your email address. That's all you have to put in. Don't have to put in your name if you don't want to. And then you'll be kept up to date of all the things that we're doing, these shows, the field trips, indoor meetings, anything news related that's relevant. We don't bombard your inbox endlessly. We only send you something when it's important or when you need to know. And it's a really good way of staying in touch.
So yeah, please visit our website. It's really, really good. So yeah, what we got coming up then in the next few weeks?
Well, I think there's a talk next Friday in Chelmsford.
Yeah, this time next week.
Yeah,
there's a talk in Chelmsford, and so again on our website we've got all our events. So our indoor meetings are on there. Our field trips are on there. So if you've got a fixture card, if you're a member and you've received a fixture card, some of the talks have changed due to speaker availability in the last few months. So please check our website where it's all up to date. So that's ebws.org.uk, and then you can find out. But next week, I think the talk's on SCOMA.
Yeah, I think if I just quickly share the screen, actually, there we go. So yeah, it's SCOMA, Puffins and Manx Shearwater with Anne Forbes. And that sounds like it's going to be absolutely superb. That's on the 4th of November. And then as Steve said, you can see we've got peregrine talk coming up. We've got African bird talks. We've got a Project Camtag talk coming up. That sounds really interesting. That's in February. I'm not sure about the March one. I'll probably skip that one, to be fair. And then we've got
thanks, mate.
No, we've got Steve's doing a talk in March. That's Birds and Wildlife of Costa Rica after his recent Costa Rica trip. That's going to be superb. And then Vinehouse Farm are talking about how they do all their conservation on the farm. So there's a really good program. And Sue Watts, who puts this together, she does a great job getting a really good varied program of people to come and talk and give us lots of information. So yeah, next Friday, Anne Forbes, SCOMA, Puffins and Manx Shearwater in Chelmsford. At the top of the page, it tells you where to go, tells you how to get there, where to park. And some of the talks are online. It will tell you which ones are, and it tells you a little bit of information on that as well.
Absolutely. And then for those who are booked on it, our next field trip is on the 20th. I think it's the 20th, isn't it?
Yeah, 20th, Sunday the 20th of November.
20th of November to Titwell RSPB Reserve. So we're looking, Matt and I are going to be on that one. So we're looking forward to that.
Definitely.
should be a good field trip. So yeah,
definitely. And if you want, I mean, don't just because the coach is full. If you want to drive, I know there are some people driving as well. So it's a couple of hours up the road for people that haven't been there. It's a really great site, and you're welcome to meet us there. We'll be there. What sort of time do you reckon? About 9:30ish, something like that.
Yeah, 7 o'clock, 9:30. Yeah, 9:30, 10. Probably nearer 10, I would imagine. Yeah. And obviously the clock's changed this weekend, so extra hour in bed. Yeah,
no, extra hour of birding.
No, for you it'd be an extra hour in bed, I reckon. Well, who knows? You know, never know. Might prove me wrong.
That's good.
So yeah, the clock's changed. So obviously we tend to leave. So in the summer hours we tend to leave at 5. So I'd imagine it'd be 4ish. So it's going to good 5-6 hours on the reserve, which is plenty of time to visit all the great habitats there.
Really good place. What are we looking forward to next month?
Oh,
well, you're not really around much next month, are you?
No, pretty much. I am for about except for about 5 days or something like that. I'm out of Britain really for a whole month virtually. So yeah, I'm off to America next week. So which I'm very much looking forward to, birding, and then back for a little while to do back for about 2 days, do the field trip, a couple more days, and then I'm off to Gambia. So so hopefully we're going to be back.
Yeah, we're going to do a little bit when you're back, aren't we?
Yeah, that little gap that I've got, we'll be back with one of these. I think it's about maybe the 22nd or 23rd of November. But if you watch this space, subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe to our mailing list, and you'll get to know when we're going to be back on again.
Yep, definitely.
So what are you looking forward to the next
month?
Well,
I'm looking forward to hopefully maybe doing another pop-up if we manage to do that as well. So again, Steve said we'll let you know by email on that. It'll be on the website. And I'm hoping to catch up with some of the birds to get me a little bit closer to young Mr. Entwistle. So I've got 10 birds to go in Essex to hit 200 for the year. And I'm missing a load of I'm missing guillemot and razorbill and fulmar and lots of things. So I'm going to do a bit of sea watching anyway, regardless of the pop-up. And yeah, hopefully might connect with the Palace's warbler if I'm lucky, and maybe even going to Suffolk for the Accentor if it stays around. But I can't do that until probably the middle of next week. So it's going to have to stick for a while. But yeah, just birding. I think birding in general, it's always good fun. And this time of year, you never know what's going to turn up, do you? So
absolutely, it sounds really good to me. You know, you just can't beat being out. And for those who saw the news, it was on the news today that apparently bird song is really hearing bird song and birds, as we know this anyway. It's a bit of a no-brainer. It's great for your mental health. So get out in the outside. Doesn't matter what the weather's like. Just go out and enjoy your local wildlife, birds, and just We've seen that from John's mindfulness moment earlier tonight. There's just something about it. You just forget about everything else that's going on in the world.
Yeah.
Just, brilliant.
And time just flies as well, doesn't it? I mean, you go out in the morning and all of a sudden it's lunchtime, it's mid-afternoon, the whole day's kind of gone. And even if you've not really seen much, it's still great fun, and you're out and you never know what's going to be around the next corner or behind the next bush. So, yeah.
Absolutely. So, we look
anything
forward to it.
Anything else on the feedback, Steve?
We've got a couple of messages from Richard Chew. Said, well done, guys, after the dodgy start and the helium interlude. He says, your hard work and efforts appreciated as always, but he's still waiting for his refund. It'd be the same refund as everyone else gets, which is 0.
But funny enough, we're still waiting for the payments to come through. So,
You know what? If everyone subscribes, if we get enough subscribers and we get paid by YouTube, I'll give you at least a penny, Richard. So
I'll buy. If we get paid by YouTube, I'll buy some helium so that Steve can sound like that every show.
Hope it doesn't happen next time. And then Tony Critcher, hi Tony. He says informative and entertaining as always. Thanks, guys. So brilliant. To be fair, thanks for everyone that sent in photographs and videos and who's commented tonight. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, really do. I mean, if we've missed any of the comments, obviously apologies. I can see that Tim's saying thanks and Ron as well. So it's great that so many of you watch it. Really appreciate you all watching, and it's lovely to bump into you in the field as well. And the comments that we get when we're out and about, we really do appreciate doing it. We only do this; it's voluntary, as I'm sure you all know, but we do it because we enjoy it, and hopefully you guys enjoy it as well. And that's what it's all about. It's a bit of fun.
Les Malloy's just said, "Great show, thanks, Chris and Michaela." I don't know if you're Michaela or I'm Michaela.
No, with your voice after the interval, you've got to be Michaela tonight, Michaela. I think.
Yeah, and also she talks a bit rubbish sometimes as well. It's controversial. Thanks for that, Les. Much appreciated.
Brilliant. Okay.
Excellent. Well, sorry it's overrun a bit tonight, guys. We apologise for the technical issues, but as we are true professionals, we soldiered on, and now it's time for bed. Need to go and get my onesie on.
All right, lovely. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
See you next month. Stay safe, everybody.